I still remember that crisp autumn morning like it was yesterday. The kind of day where the air feels alive with promise, but underneath, there's a whisper of something fragile, something that could shatter in an instant. My name is Elena Hayes, and for as long as I can recall, my life has been a quiet storm of duty and hidden strength. I grew up in a small coastal town where the sea was our constant companion, calling to us with its endless waves. My brother Marcus and I were inseparable back then. He was the bold one, always charging ahead with his dreams, while I was the steady shadow, supporting him from the sidelines. We shared everything: secrets whispered under the stars, scraped knees from adventures, and the unbreakable bond of siblings who faced the world together. Our parents weren't around much. Dad was lost to the ocean early on, a fisherman claimed by a storm, and Mom worked endless shifts to keep us afloat. So, it was just us against the tide. I idolized Marcus. He had this fire in him, this unyielding drive that made everyone believe he was destined for greatness. When he announced he was joining the Navy, I cheered the loudest. Little did he know, I followed in his footsteps not long after, but I kept it quiet. My path was different. Mine was about silent perseverance, climbing ranks without the fanfare. Years passed, and life pulled us in different directions. Marcus rose quickly, becoming a decorated officer, always in the spotlight. Me? I preferred the shadows, focusing on my missions, my team, but family ties don't fade easily, or so I thought. When I got the invitation to his promotion ceremony, Marcus was being honored as a captain. It felt like a bridge back to those simpler days. "Come celebrate with me, sis," the note said. My heart swelled with pride. I imagined us standing side by side, toasting to our shared roots. I dressed carefully that day, in a simple navy blue dress that hid the weight of my own uniform beneath. No medals, no insignia, just Elena, the supportive sister. The ceremony was at the naval base, a grand hall buzzing with officers, families, and dignitaries. As I approached the entrance, the guard smiled politely and asked for my name. "Elena Hayes," I said, my voice steady. He scanned the list, his brow furrowing. "I'm sorry, ma'am. You're not on here." My stomach dropped. Not on the list? That couldn't be right. I pulled out the invitation, but he shook his head. "This looks official, but perhaps there's a mistake." People streamed past me, laughing and chatting, while I stood there, frozen. I spotted Marcus through the gates, mingling with guests, his uniform gleaming under the lights. Our eyes met for a brief second. He saw me. I know he did. But he turned away, as if I were a stranger. The hurt crashed over me like a rogue wave, pulling me under. Why would he do this? Had our bond meant so little? Whispers from the past echoed in my mind, the times he'd dismissed my achievements, joked about my quiet life. But this? This was deliberate. A public snub, a betrayal that cut deeper than any knife. I felt exposed, humiliated, my chest tightening with unshed tears. But what I didn't know that day was that the tide was about to turn, revealing secrets I'd kept buried for far too long. As I stood there at the gates, the world blurred around me, a haze of uniforms and forced smiles. The guard apologized again, suggesting I call someone inside, but my fingers trembled too much to dial. Marcus had seen me. He had to have. Yet he walked away, leaving me stranded like driftwood on the shore. The betrayal sank in slowly, like salt in an open wound. How had we come to this? I replayed our history, searching for the cracks I'd ignored. Growing up, Marcus was the golden child. He aced every test, won every race, and when he enlisted, the town threw him a parade. I was proud, truly, but I wanted my own path. So, I joined the Navy too, starting at the bottom, proving myself mission after mission. While he chased glory and high-profile ops, I specialized in intelligence, quiet work that saved lives without headlines. I rose through the ranks, lieutenant, commander, and eventually, admiral. But I never told the family. Why? Maybe to avoid the comparisons, the jealousy that simmered beneath his praise. Or perhaps because my successes felt private, earned in the silence of strategy rooms and midnight briefings. Over the years, our calls grew shorter. He'd boast about his deployments, his medals, and I'd listen, offering encouragement. "You're the star, Marcus," I'd say, meaning it. But lately, there were hints. Subtle digs about my civilian job, assumptions that I was just scraping by. He didn't know about my clearances, my commands, and why should he? I'd chosen anonymity, but this ceremony, it was supposed to be a reunion. Instead, it exposed the rot in our bond. I finally mustered the courage to text him. "Hey bro, at the gate, not on list. Help?" Minutes ticked by. No response. Then, through the crowd, I saw him glance at his phone, pocket it, and laugh with a group of officers. My heart shattered. This wasn't a mistake. It was intentional. Flashbacks flooded me. The time in high school when he took credit for a project we'd done together, or when he forgot to invite me to his wedding rehearsal, claiming it was an oversight. But those were small waves. This was a tsunami. Tears stung my eyes as anger bubbled up, mixing with the pain. How dare he erase me from his moment of triumph? I thought of all I'd sacrificed, nights away from home, risks I'd taken to protect people like him. The emotional storm raged inside, betrayal's sharp sting, the loneliness of being overlooked by the one person who should have known better. I paced outside the gates, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to leave, to let the hurt swallow me whole. But another part, the Admiral in me, stirred. Strength isn't loud, it's resolute. I straightened my shoulders, wiping away the tears. If he wanted to play this game, fine. But secrets have a way of surfacing, and mine was about to crash down. I approached the guard again. "Please, check for Admiral Hayes." He raised an eyebrow but radioed in. Moments later, his eyes widened. "Ma'am, I didn't realize. Right this way." As I stepped through those gates, the shift began, from victim to avenger. The betrayal had awakened something fierce in me. Marcus thought he knew my story, but he was about to learn the truth, and it would change everything. The hall was alive with anticipation as I slipped in quietly, finding a seat in the back. Whispers rippled through the crowd, but I kept my head down, my heart pounding like a war drum. The ceremony began with speeches praising Marcus, his bravery, his leadership. He stood on stage, beaming, accepting the applause like it was his due. I watched, the hurt still fresh, but now laced with a quiet resolve. Then, the MC stepped forward. "And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest of honor. Please welcome Admiral Elena Hayes." The room fell silent. Marcus's smile froze. I rose slowly, the weight of my hidden insignia feeling like armor. As I walked to the stage, gasps echoed around me. "Admiral Hayes?" someone murmured. "His sister?" The MC continued, oblivious to the undercurrents. "Admiral Hayes has led covert operations that safeguarded our nation, earning the highest commendations in silence." I reached the podium, meeting Marcus's eyes, wide with shock, dawning realization. He hadn't known. No one in the family had. I'd kept my promotions classified, sharing only with my superiors. The applause swelled, but for me, it was secondary. This was the moment the tables turned. Marcus approached, his voice a whisper. "Elena? Admiral? Why didn't you say?" I looked at him steadily. "You never asked, Marcus. You assumed." The color drained from his face as colleagues swarmed me, offering handshakes and respect he'd always craved. In that instant, his triumph dimmed. The spotlight shifted, exposing his oversight, his betrayal. He pulled me aside later, his voice breaking. "I'm sorry, sis. I thought, I don't know what I thought. I was jealous, maybe. Please forgive me." The words hung there, raw and real. I nodded, but the trust was fractured. As the evening wound down, I stepped outside, the sea breeze carrying away the tension. Revenge wasn't about destruction. It was about truth unveiled, letting consequences speak for themselves. Marcus faced his own reflection that night, the brother who'd snubbed his sister, only to discover her quiet power. It humbled him, and in time, perhaps it would mend us. Looking back, I realize betrayal cuts deep because it comes from those we love most, but it also forges resilience, teaching us that true strength whispers until it's time to roar. I've found peace in my path, no longer hidden. And the lesson? Never underestimate the quiet ones. They might just be the ones holding the world steady. If you've ever been overlooked, remember, your moment will come, and when it does, let it shine.